Hey, welcome back, everyone. So I'm doing this video basically because I got a comment from a very wise a young man who commented on my most recent video, and he said, "Hey, Ethan, I was just wondering, just as a young man, what would you do after the bull run?" And I have to give major kudos to this kid, whoever he is. I don't know how old he is, but a lot of times younger people don't ask. Right? They just make assumptions. When I was younger, probably when you were younger too, it's like you're much more impulsive with money and not thinking ahead. So this kid, whoever he is, I don't know how old he is, could be 18, could be 25, 28. I don't know. But kudos to you for asking the question. It shows you that your mindset is in the right place. So I want to just talk about a few things that I would do, that I would tell my younger self to do, and that I will eventually tell my son to do. And this is an all-inclusive list. None of this is financial advice as usual. But I'll just tell you some of the things I do. Okay, first of all, I don't know how much you put in, and how much you put in and when you bought and when you cash out is going to determine how much you have to work with. I don't know that. There's a lot of variables here. So if you, after the bull run, whatever assets you go into, whether it's a straight grayscale or your MicroStrategy or you do rotation, you end up with a ton of money, whatever happens, you're going to have to evaluate your situation, right? So for me, a couple things that was important when I was younger, like in my early 20s, is getting the hell out of debt. So I had student loan debt, credit card debt. I wanted that stuff gone. I had to put in extra work and earn extra income over the course of like 3 or 4 years, bust my ass, and I paid them off, and I built up a savings nest egg to basically allow myself to quit my job and start my own gig. I took a risk, and it really paid off. Okay, that was the life-changing event for me. It doesn't always happen, right? I should talk about starting a business later in some other video, but because this isn't my first business, this is my third. My first two really didn't work out. My third did. That's, from what I understand, on average, that's what happens with entrepreneurs. Anyway, let's keep this on investing. And starting a business, being an entrepreneur is a type of investing. I'll talk about that probably in a future video. But you got to do something nice for yourself, and one that could be getting out of debt, right? Some debt or all debt. I think you got to do something nice for yourself, like buy yourself something, like not a fucking Lambo. Lambos are a waste of fucking money. First of all, they cost too much. They're a pain in the ass to upkeep. You're going to become a target. Women are going to fucking use you. The gold diggers are going to come out of the closet with a Lambo, right? Or anything related to it, like a Bugatti, shit like that. You know what I'm talking about. The guys out there that want to flaunt their wealth, that's the kind of shit they drive. They want attention. Right? Okay. You don't want to be that person. It draws a lot of bad things and bad people into your life. So I would advise you to stay away from that. It's smart to have a car without a loan on it, because so many people are paying so much money on car loans. It's crazy. I think what I would tell myself, and I was actually doing this for myself back in my 20s, I was listening to people like Dave Ramsey, reading books by Susie Orman. I think you need to get advice from people, and from a lot of people, and for people that you don't even agree with. Like I'm a huge fan of Dave Ramsey. I listen to a lot of the videos that he and his team put out. There's a lot of good stuff here. It shows you the dire straits that so many people are in and the financial mistakes they make. And the good thing about these is you can use this as a learning experience to not follow in their footsteps. Okay, I think that's super important. Knowing what to do is just as important as knowing not what to do. And you're smart if you learn from your mistake. You're wise if you learn from others' mistakes, right? There's a saying like that. Okay, it's so true. And when we're younger, we tend to think we're different. We know everything. We know better than other people, and so we make our own mistakes with women, with money, with life. Okay, I don't agree with Dave Ramsey on everything at all. Like, he's big into mutual funds. I don't think he's ever said what mutual funds he's in. He just recommends them, probably very similar to index funds that you get into. He's anti-crypto, which I don't agree with, because I think it's, in my opinion, it's the best way to get wealthy over time, because of the crypto market. The gains are just crazy, especially with rotation, man, they're crazy. But I think index funds and probably mutual funds too are very good set it and forget it type of investments, and everybody should have some. Okay, everybody should have some. I've got a little bit of index funds like VU and VGT and stuff that I don't think it's technically an index fund, like SCHG is in Golf for Growth. And I'll park some of my profits after the bull run into those safer, boring investments, all right? And not risk my whole portfolio next cycle in anything, you know? So, but I would do that. I get a lot of advice from people. I would be very cautious Third, about telling your friends and family about the fact that you potentially made a lot of money. I don't know, like I said, how much you're going to have at the end of this thing. Um, I don't know if you're a native crypto too or just Grayscale or what you're in, but or what you're going to have. But just be cautious about that because things change. People get envious. The man, money, it will, um, it's like kryptonite. If people know you have money, they'll show you whether they're a good person or a bad person. Whether they're going to try to use you for your money, try to guilt trip you for your money. Uh, they're going to do the envy thing. They're going to do all that kind of shit. Because if they're neck and neck with you, essentially, or even if they're ahead of you, and for example, in retirement savings, let's say you're in your 40s or 50s, you got X thousand dollars in an IRA or whatever, and you're basically on par with the median and after Grayscale, you're way past it. If people were to find that out, they might kind of act like they're excited or happy for you, but you're more likely to get them to hate you. Maybe not just like upfront, but there's going to be envy there. There's this weird thing people, I have no idea why. And honestly, don't be envious of people. I think it holds you back in life. It's just a broad advice thing, no matter your age. You shouldn't be. People who have more money, more assets, more success, better relationships, better cars, whatever. I don't ever look at them. I never have and said they're bad people or I don't like them because they have more than me. I've always thought to myself like that would be cool to have that kind of money in my bank account or brokerage account or that kind of car or that kind of house or that kind of wife or that kind of family or that kind of whatever. And I'd ask myself the question, well, how did they get there? Because that's what I want to know. Like, I might not be able to follow the same roadmap, but I look for stories from people who are successful. I read books by people who are successful in business and investing in other things. And I kind of take their account of their life and their actions into consideration when I try to figure out, like, what do I want to do to be successful in a certain area? So take advice from people. Even if it's not popular amongst your peers, take advice from people. Listen to the boomers. Listen to the Gen Xers. Listen to the silent generation, right? Okay, so we lost some. We lose people all the time. We just lost the other day. We lost Lou Dobbs. If you know who Lou Dobbs is, you ever watch Fox News? Lou was a commentator on there for many years, and then they booted him off because he started saying things that were, anti-Obama, I think, or anti. I probably had anti-Biden, I think. And they booted him off, and he kind of retired, did his own thing, and he just passed away just the other day. And that's a huge loss. He was he's a true American patriot, had some really great ideas, a solid guy. Go back, read books that he wrote. If you can find videos where he's talking, listen to him. And people, that are very successful, like, and now I'm like doing a mind blank thing, but Tony Robbins, people like Tony Robbins, right? Really good things to say. And again, don't take everything that they say for, word by word and live your life exactly like that. You got to meld it into your own life, okay? So that's one thing you got to do. Another thing you got to do is continue to invest for the future. And depending on how much you have or what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, that's going to affect your investing style, what you get into. I think one thing, like, for the long term, I watch a lot of people on a lot of stuff, and like the wealthy people that I know are wealthy, okay, they don't talk about really investing in things like dividend funds, dividend ETFs. They talk about investing in real estate, talk about investing in precious metals, in index funds, mutual funds, crypto, right? They talk about those, not really in dividend funds, dividend ETFs. They don't really do that. So what you want to invest in, that's up to you, because there's not one path to success. The path you take as an individual is going to determine your future. Most people, especially young people, I think, I don't want to broadly paint this, but I think broadly I can. So I'm going to do it. I think because when I was younger, well, I might have been an exception because I was like, I hate debt. I want to get out of debt. I want to be free. I don't want this, noose hanging around my neck. I want to be free of this. But I think a lot of people, like in modern society, there's a consumer-driven sentiment out there where people just want to buy things to have a material experience in this world, to look good on social media, to look good to their neighbors. And at the end of the day, you have to live with your choices. There's so many people in this world right now who are living beyond their means. They're driving cars, living in houses, taking vacations, and buying the things, doing the things that they can't really afford. They're just financing them with debt, right? Either with a HELOC or with credit card, whatever. They're living the high life, and they will have to pay their dues. And unfortunately for them, they're gonna have to work, until they can't work anymore, and then they're gonna have to try to scrounge by and get by on Social Security, because a lot of them don't have much. The numbers that you see for like median 401ks and IRAs it's low. It's disturbing. All right, you don't want to be that person. If you like are wise, like I've got plans for my son and myself too, but my son especially, like, I'm starting out with just like in his Roth, just a few $1,000s right now, and and it's like I can take that thing over the course of the next 14 years before he actually gets it legally. Over the next 14 years, I've got this bull run and at least two more bull runs. Assume we don't go on some weird schedule. We stay on a 4 to 5 year schedule. I've got two more after this. And I just look at the gains that I can have, even a 10x at each stage, which is laughably low because somebody uses rotation, but even a 10x at each stage is it ends up with a tremendous. I mean, a 10x return over three stages is 1,000x, right? And you can get better than that, especially with rotation, depending on what you go in. And obviously, nothing's guaranteed, right? But if we look at the past, we say the past is going to kind of rhyme with the future, you can make out like mad. Fund a Roth. All right, get a Roth funded, because I think tax rates when you're older, like in your 50s, if you're in your 20s right now, by the time you get into your 50s and 60s, you're at or near retirement, tax rates could be very extreme, right? Because a lot of people aren't going to have saved shit for retirement. And there's going to be a big outcry for the government to save them. They want big daddy government. They want to be governed harder. Govern me harder, daddy, right? And that's what they want. And they're not going to have that safety net that they otherwise could have had if they had taken the right actions themselves. So I think the politicians do what they do. They just want to get elected again. So they're going to do what the people want. They're probably going to raise the tax rate so they can give free handouts, bigger Social Security checks, more bennies out to everybody else. So you got to count on tax rates and inflation being much higher than what they are right now. So anything that you can stuff away into your Roth is a good thing to do. I think the max annual contribution that you can make is like $7,000. All right. If you make a ton of money, I've said this before, if you make a ton of money and for some reason you are generating a lot of income, either from your job, a business, or dividends, or however you're producing income or selling assets, and you make too much money to contribute to a Roth, talk to a CPA, because I do this. Like I make way more money than I'm disqualified from directly contributing to a Roth. So I have to do this dumbass backdoor Roth conversion where every year, now that I'm over 50, I can put in $8,000 a year into a traditional IRA, and then I have to do a conversion of that traditional IRA value into my Roth, which is fine. I'll pay some taxes. I don't know what they are. I don't even care, because I've done the calculations of what I could take that $8,000 that I put in each year over, let's say next year in 26, 27, and 28, I put in $8,000 a piece. So that's $24,000 I've got locked and loaded for the crypto bull run. If I do a 20x on that, which I'm pretty sure I can do, unless the world goes nuts in some bad way, then that's almost $500,000 that would be sitting in my Roth just as a result of the 3 years of $8,000 a piece. That's almost $500,000, and then I can magnify it once more before I get to the age of 60. So I'll be turning 60 probably right after 2 more cycles after this, or very close to it. So you got to think about that. Magnify your Roth as much as you can. Contribute. I don't know. People say contribute your 401k. I don't know about that, man. You got to look at what they're actually investing their money in, because I feel like I don't invest. I've got a retirement plan at the office that we offer to all the employees. I do not invest in my 401k. I don't. It's stupid, because the returns from that are just like, they're nothing in comparison to what I can get by going into crypto assets. So I just manage my own investments. What you want to do is up to you, but the key thing here is just work on your financial future and retirement. I know, like, if you're in your 20s, you're not even thinking about that shit. This is the best time to make smart moves in regards to your retirement, because time is money and it will compound. Even if you just stick it in boring ass things like mutual funds and index funds, it'll work, right? So if you were to stick, I know you probably wouldn't stick this much in. Maybe you would. I don't know what you're going to make. But let's say you had $1 million to work with and you parked it in index funds right now and they grew at like 10% per year on average, doubled every 7 years. And you've got like 28 years to look in the future before you even need this stuff. Look at how many times it would double. We've got four doublings. Like, if it doubles every 7 years, you got 28 years, you got four doublings. It goes from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16. So in 28 years, that 1 million turns into 16 million. So it's pretty powerful with the growth. You also have to realize, though, that inflation is coming for your ass. Because if we look back in the future, or in the past, if we look back 28 years in the past, we're sitting at like 1997. Prices are very different in 1997 for everything from electricity to food to rent, all that kind of stuff, compared to where we are now. I don't know what it's going to look like. Nobody does in the future. So you got to think about that kind of stuff. Okay, $16 million 28 years from now is not the same as one. It might be the equivalent of $2 million today. I don't know. See, do not trust the government. That's another thing I'd put on your list. Don't trust the government. Politicians will say whatever they want to try to get you to like them. That's their job. They're good at it generally. They're good at their job of getting you to like them, to vote for them again, so they can do whatever it is that they think that you'll vote for them again, right? They're relatively good at that. And so you just got to be wary of that. Do not always have a backup in life. Always just cover your ass. And I got this from like the prepper mentality. I was into the prepper, movement, lifestyle, all that kind of stuff many years ago, over a decade ago. A lot of great principles there to have a backup in case of emergency, like break glass in case of emergency. And that means to having things like gold and silver, physical gold and silver, somewhere that you have access to, spare cash at home. I know, like, for younger people, cash might seem like old school. Yeah, it is. The paper dollars way back in the day. It is old school. I like that because I am an IT guy. And I have major distrust of our reliance upon technology and electricity to get all this shit done. If something goes wrong, if we are attacked, from outside our country or we have an EMP goes off, or we have like a CME that takes off, that's like the Carrington event, man, it could cause some major pain. I like to have some backups. Always have backups in life. There's a prepper mentality, mindset, and saying out there. This is 2 is 1, 1 is none. That means if you have 2, boom sticks, and 1 goes bad, 1 jams, you got another one as backup. If you only had 1 and that thing is the one that jammed, now you have 0. So same thing applies to everything in life, like bank accounts, brokerage accounts, everything. I wouldn't have all your money, all your funds sitting in one brokerage account, one bank account. I'd split them up, because you never know what's going to happen. You don't know if your bank's going to go bust and your bank's going to be unavailable for a couple of days while the FDIC does reorganization. You don't know. Hopefully that never happens to the brokerages out there, but you just never know. I do not trust them. They all have limitations on how much money you can take out. I don't like that, so I have a couple. All right. So as your wealth grows over time, do that. Pay attention to what wealthy people do. One of the things that wealthy people don't do is actually say a whole lot sometimes with the details of what they're doing. I understand why they don't. Like, part of it is like just privacy, but and there are good reasons for not talking about it, but it does a disservice to people who are trying to get there to where they are. And I suppose that's okay. It's everybody has a journey. It's like you start out at the basics, then you don't exactly know what somebody else did, and so you're trying to figure out what do they do, and that's okay too. But I would say, as you grow, try to one of the things you should do, in my opinion, is to try to help other people. And this isn't always easy to do. Some people don't want to get out there on YouTube, understand, and trying to help people in person doesn't always work. In fact, most people that I talk to aren't interested in investing. If I tell them, like, hey, you might want to take a look at XYZ, I think it's got really good potential, they either are not interested whatsoever, think I'm a scam artist, or they want to keep working their 9-to-5 job, which just barely pays their bills. Like, they don't have the burning desire to get out to a better spot in life, right? So you got to have that. Anyway, I'm gonna end this here. A lot of good ideas. I'm super proud of you for asking the question. That's like a basic thing that most people don't do. Your journey is yours. If you've got hopefully a long time ahead of you before you actually need retirement funds, don't make mistakes of the new rich and the young in general and put them together where there's an impulsive desire to spend your money or profits on material shit that really doesn't matter. I mean, you should do some of that if it makes you feel good. But just be careful. Check your shit. Don't go overboard because it can come back to bite you in the ass. It's not worth it in the long run. Trying to impress people, whether it's the girl or the guy or whatever, you're going to attract the wrong people in life. All right. You just got to, that's so important. Like the people in your life are very important. They will affect who you are and who you become in the future, how well you do. And this isn't even just for people in your life, people you might have a relationship with. It's the people that you listen to, right? It's the people that you listen to on YouTube or you listen to their podcasts. It's not even necessarily the people you hang out with. I think it was Robert Kiyosaki who said, you are like the average of like the, I don't know, 5 people or 3 people that you hang around with the most. So who are the types of people that you're listening to the most? Are they people in person? Are you listening to broke people? Because they're probably not going to have a lot of great ideas on how to get rich. They might. I don't want to discount anybody, but I'm more likely personally to gravitate towards people who have either around what I do or have more than what I do. I learned from everybody though, because there are a lot of people that are really smart that have less than I do. And I'm like, well, what are they doing? Is this a smart thing to do? So don't discount somebody just because they don't have what you have. Don't be like an elitist who you think you're hot shit because you've got more money or a better car or a better job or a better wife or better husband or better whatever. Don't be a dickhead. Don't be a dickhead. All right, that's it for now. If you have questions, post a comment or something. But kudos to you for asking the question. I'm very impressed. And just the fact that you asked the question means to me that you're going to do very well in life. So I'll do videos where I talk about the other things that I'm going into in terms of investments after this bull run in my main account, in my Roth, my son's UTMA. So like what I put my son's UTMA and Roth into is going to be similar to what I put in for myself, but it might be a little bit different. So maybe you pay attention to some of the things that I do and maybe take that into consideration. Don't follow me necessarily exactly, but maybe I have some good ideas. Or maybe you see what I'm doing and you're like, that's stupid. Then don't follow me. Please don't. Like, if you think something's stupid, don't follow me. All right, that's it for now. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next one.